Games Update Show. The Worldwide Open starts tomorrow. We'll tell you which leaderboard is for you as we head into the season. Join us in the gym as we give you a special set of tips and tools for the 2013 Open. We'll also sit down with the 2012 second fittest woman on earth and talk med school in the 2013 season. The CrossFit Games Update Show starts now.
3, 2, 1, go!
Hello everybody, and welcome to the CrossFit Games Update Show. I'm Pat Sherwood, alongside Maddy Curley, and guess what?
What?
Boom, it's happening! The Worldwide Open starts tomorrow.
That is right, Pat, and that means that our live Open announcements kick off March 6th. So don't forget to tune in Wednesday night, because this year, each Open announcement will feature a live throwdown between two top Games athletes. The first one, as we mentioned last week, features Scott Panchik and Dan Bailey.
And features me winning $5 from you when Bailey wins.
That is what you think.
Cashier's check is
Panchik
just
will
fine.
win.
Pat Sherwood. We're about to kick off one of the largest participatory events in the world. The workout that those two elite athletes will perform live for our viewing pleasure is the exact same one that over 100,000 other members of the CrossFit community will also attempt. Over 100,000.
That's crazy. And these guys are going to be throwing downs just minutes after it's announced, and potentially have a performance that could end up near the top of the leaderboards.
Top of the leaderboard, good place to be.
Good place to be.
I can't imagine the pressure, but let's bring it back to me for a moment here. With, Panchik, Bailey, and everyone else competing, comparing myself to the top tier could get a little depressing.
Yeah, especially at your fitness level.
I appreciate that.
Seriously though, you can look at the rankings on the worldwide leaderboard, but realistically, that's oriented to the top few athletes on the planet. There are also going to be 17 different races to qualify for regionals.
And you'll find those races on the regional leaderboards.
Exactly, and I, for one, am going to hang out on the custom leaderboards more than anything.
And that's where you decide who you're competing against. So tell me, who's on your custom leaderboard?
All right, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
The ladies of SoCal, Annie Sakamoto, Miranda Oldroyd, Megan John, Elise Umeda, and Cristiana Valera.
Jeez, really just taking it easy on yourself, huh? Good Lord.
I'm gonna challenge myself. Okay, so going back to the worldwide leaderboard, this is where the world sees what is currently the limit of human performance. Plus, the elite level athletes who have a legitimate shot to podium at the Games will use their placing here as a barometer for their performance.
Barometer, I need one of those. If you want to be the best in the world, you need to compare yourself to the athletes rising to the top globally. But do the best athletes really need to be concerned about their standings in the Open? Maddy, wouldn't it just make more sense for them to cruise through the Open, make it to regionals, then pour on the juice?
I doubt any of them have that kind of mindset, but yes, they could, depending on their goals. If all they care about is this season, then they can cruise through the Open as long as they qualify for regionals. But CrossFit is starting to develop and use a power ranking system in which athletes are judged on their performance from previous year's Games, regionals, and Opens. These power rankings could then be used to decide who's invited to select events, such as this year's CrossFit Invitational in London.
And if you're one of the most badass athletes in our sport, you want to be invited to things like that. It was incredible. And it makes sense, since the CrossFit mindset is to bring your best to every endeavor that we do. Any overall power ranking, it should include all those events.
Absolutely. There are countless amazing athletes in CrossFit, but sadly, there are only a few spots from each region to get to the Games.
So for many athletes, the competition revolves around just making it to regionals. For them, the regionals are the Games. And frankly, the competition at regionals these days is just as fierce as was the Games a few short years ago. Trust me on that one.
No doubt about that. This means that the 17 regional leaderboards are going to be documenting some crazy races. The top athletes in each region will be jockeying for any advantage they can get. And those on the bubble will be fighting for qualification.
I would kill to be near the bubble, the good old days.
Oh, the bubble.
Only 48 men and women will be invited to regionals. With thousands competing, that's not many peeps.
That is not many peeps. So knowledge is power. And by knowing where you rank in your region, you can analyze if you should redo a workout to keep yourself in the top 48.
Of course, if you're anywhere close to qualifying, you better be putting forth the best results that you're capable of. Because you never know who's gaming the leaderboard. You know those people that don't post until the last minute?
Oh, those people. Yes, I do. Look, being in the top 48 of your region is amazing. That means you're insanely fit and your effort will be rewarded with an experience that will only be rivaled by the games itself. The regional competitions are world-class events, so don't miss out because you weren't paying attention to your leaderboard.
Amen to that. And now, let's talk about the rest of us. The fact is, spoiler alert, most of us competing are not going to make it to regionals. I'm sorry. And we're certainly not competing in the games, and I'm lumping myself in there as well. For us, the Open is our time to compete, to throw down against your buddies and have a blast doing it.
And that's where the custom leaderboard comes in. There are nearly infinite ways for you to craft a competitive leaderboard. For most of you in the CrossFit community, the Open is your games. So take advantage of the opportunity to compete on a global scale and create a leaderboard that pushes you to reach your goals.
Let me tell you about my custom leaderboard,
Let's
okay?
hear it.
3 people on it. Myself, obviously. That guy, Rich Froning.
I've heard of him.
Got to keep an eye on him. And my buddy Heber, who I'm going to crush in the Open. My goal is, just maintain space number 2, and it's all good. So whoever you choose to compete with out there in CrossFit land, you can personalize the site, track your fun, track your progress.
Good luck with that, Pat.
Don't need it, but I appreciate it.
All right, we're switching gears a little now, and we're going to take care of a little housekeeping as we explain some of the rules for the Masters and the team divisions.
Now, we call them Masters, but truth be told, they're fitter than the majority of people on the planet.
Yeah, for sure. Here are a few key points for the Masters competition. Like last year, the top 20 athletes in each age group will be invited to compete at the CrossFit Games. This year, we've added a new division, the 40 to 44-year-olds. So now in the Open, the youngest 3 divisions of the Masters will have identical loading and reps to the individual divisions. As such, they're both on the main leaderboard and their Masters leaderboard. This means they can contribute to their affiliate team, and it means they have the potential to qualify for regionals as an individual. For these exceptional athletes, they can decide after regionals which division they want to compete in at the Games.
And what's so amazing is, plenty of those people are so insane, they will compete, they will go to regionals as individuals. It's amazing what they're doing.
Absolutely.
We caught up with co-director of the CrossFit Games, Tony Budding, to clarify this last point.
The top 20 athletes in each of the Masters divisions at the end of the Open will be invited to compete at the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games. There's a possibility that some athletes in the younger 3 age groups will also qualify for regionals, either as an individual or as a team. They may elect to compete in regionals with no other consequence. After regionals, if they have now qualified for the Games in more than one division, i.e. the Masters and/or individuals and teams, they then will have a short window in which to select which competition they're going to engage in. You may not compete in more than one competition at the Games.
There we go. And as incredible as the Masters are, my heart also lies with the team competition. Many of you have seen the amazing team workouts at the regionals and games, but in the Open, the team competition is made up of athletes competing individually.
And while on the subject of teams, the most important thing to remember has to do with where you train. To qualify as a team under CrossFit rules, all members must train at the same gym for the majority of their training by any metric. This has to remain throughout the season as long as the team is still competing. Athletes should be prepared to provide proof if there is any question. Look, if you're in one of those scenarios that somebody might question for whatever reason, where you train, keep a logbook. Hit it up on Facebook, send a twit, document it, do something, cover your butt. Let's check in with Tony again as he clarifies the team rules.
One new requirement this year is that your team members must train together more than half by any metric for the entire duration of the game season as long as you're competing. From January 1st to the end of the Open, from January 1st to the end of regionals, from January 1st to the games. If someone moves away at any point during that season, they can no longer compete on your team. If someone moves to your gym in the middle of that season, they cannot compete on your team.
And there you have it. Remember, you as athletes are responsible for understanding the rules, so make sure you're familiar with them. Don't get yourself, or God forbid, your team disqualified because you didn't take the time to make sure you are competing within the parameters of the sport. The complete rulebook is on the game site under the About the Games menu. When we come back, we'll head into the gym and give you some tips to help you have your best open performance yet. More CrossFit Games Update show after the break.
The CrossFit Games Update Show is brought to you in part by Progenics, the official performance nutrition sponsor of the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games.
Hey, Tyson, what's up?
What's going on?
Mars? Diablo chicken. Hey, Pat.
Welcome to the gym, everybody. I'm Pat Sherwood, standing alongside
Maddy, Curley.
11th in the Open worldwide last year. And the Open is upon us again. We have no idea what these workouts are going to be, but last year, we saw a repeat.
Because CrossFit likes to do what's called a feedback loop. So that means that the workouts are measurable, observable, and repeatable. So even though we don't know the workouts, there's a good chance that one could repeat again.
And hopefully it won't be the 7 minutes of burpees. But no matter what it is, we're going to take you through all 5 from last year and give you a tip and a trick to make it better should we see one again. 7 minutes of burpees. Ugh, we might see it again. How many did you get last year?
135.
I got like 106, I think was my score. Anyway, 2 tips that we have for you. Number 1, make your life easier. Set a target above your head that is the required distance. And so you're not hitting a ring and it's swinging all over the place. We've got a cool little studio thing here, but people do this with yoga mats, over pull-up bars, stacked boxes. You can make this happen. The second thing, set yourself a pace using a free downloaded metronome here for your phone. You can do 20 burpees a minute, whatever you want. We have it at 20 burpees a minute for 140 burpee pace. Here's what it sounds like. I'm going to hit it. Maddie's going to demonstrate. Here we go. And she doesn't have to crane her neck and look up. She just puts her hands above her head, hits the target beautifully, and worries about sticking to the pace here. 7 minutes later, she has one of the best scores in the world. It's just that simple. You can stop doing those terrible burpees now.
All right, you remember 12.2 was a snatch ladder, so you started off at a lower weight and then went through increasing weights of snatches.
I don't want to brag, okay? But last year, I believe I got 62, maybe 63 snatches total.
That's great.
Right? And you?
I got 90.
Snatches.
Snatches.
Okay.
So snatches might not be your best friend, but keep in mind that when they announce the workout, you still have time. You don't have to do the workout that day. You have 4 days. So you could practice with a PVC. You can go to the CrossFit Journal, look up tips for how to get better at it. Talk to your best friend who's really good at snatches and have them teach you some tricks. Talk to your coaches. So we had people that had never gotten 65 pounds before, got 65 pounds in the Open. So take your time with it. Snatches are tough. And
think about the man, Josh Everett, split snatcher. People got their first snatches or more snatches at a certain loading in that workout last year than ever before trying the split snatch, so give that a whirl as well.
All right, we're at 12.3, which was the 18-minute AMRAP of 15 box jumps, 12 push press, and 9 toes to bar. So we heard a crazy stat that if you drop the bar, you actually lose 6 to 8 seconds every time you put it down. So we wanted to test that theory out. So you're going to see 4 push presses unbroken right now, and we're going to time it. And then you're going to see 2 push presses, drop the bar, 2 push presses again, and we'll show you the difference in the time. All right, Pat, go ahead. Rack it first, and 3, 2, 1, go. 4. All right, 5.2 seconds. Now here's 2 push presses, dropping the bar, short rest, and then 2 push presses again. Go ahead and rack the bar. And 3, 2, 1, go.
Whew. So tired, I'm so fatigued. I'm gonna keep working out though, because it's the open.
1, 2. 13.8. 7 seconds different just from that break. All right, so maybe it's smart for you when you finish the box jumps, rest those 3-4 seconds, and then get on the bar for all 12. Because as you can see, you don't want to waste 7 seconds every time you drop the bar. And believe me, that was the shortest rest time ever.
Another thing on 12.3 that had a major impact on your score was the toes to bar. To link them together on the kip, don't think about initiating with your hips. Initiate with the shoulder and chest coming back and forth. That's going to allow you to cycle them. If you still can't cycle the toes to bar, think knees to elbows, and then kick the bar at the top. Knees to elbows, and kick. Boom, there you have it. You're still in the game.
All right, 12.4, wall balls, double unders, and muscle ups. Wall balls, your strategy on that is you want to break them up before you hit fatigue. So Neil Maddox talked about how he did it the first time and he did 120 wall balls in a row. The next time he did it, he broke it up doing 70, so he never hit fatigue. He ended up getting 10 more reps. I did my wall balls in sets of 10.
And it worked out well.
It worked out great.
Double unders get inside a lot of people's head. Just it's technique, like kind of the snatches. Go to the CrossFit Journal, talk to your coach. You can get double unders in 3 or 4 days. Second part is you will have a miss, a trip. If you do, just step through the rope and go again. And last thing I'll say, have a spare rope. God forbid your rope snaps in the middle of the workout. Grab it, you're good.
And the last thing is muscle up. Get one. That separates you by about 10,000 people. So if you can, even if you have a minute left, don't just jump on the rings and try and fail 3 times. Stand there, wait your 40 seconds, get your 1 muscle up. It's worth it.
Be glad you did. As if Fran doesn't frighten CrossFitters enough, 12.5 has got a heavier thruster and chest to bar pull-ups. We talked about dropping the barbell earlier, so please don't do that and you'll have a better score. The chest to bar pull-ups, though, threw a monkey wrench in for a lot of people because regular pull-ups are hard enough. Try these different techniques. If you're a ninja, the best thing you can do, the butterfly kip. It's going to be the most efficient and fastest of all. Second is just the gymnastics kip we're used to doing with a bigger hip opening and a pull to the bar. Next one, if you can't quite do that, do a double kip. Shows a regular gymnastics hip, fires the hip again, gets her chest to the bar. And lastly, get some more musculature involved. Mix the grip, get a little bicep going, and you can still double kip or do whatever you want with that. Hop on down. Who knows if we'll see one of these workouts repeat, but if we do, you guys have some tools for better performance. Good luck in the open. When we come back, more from the CrossFit Games Update Show.
Wardrobe for the CrossFit Games Update Show has been provided in part by Mizzen & Main. Tradition evolved.
second fittest woman on the planet, knows how to endure pain, but her decision to forego the 2013 CrossFit Games in favor of medical school, that was almost too much for Julie Foucher to handle. I had the opportunity to sit down with her, hear her thoughts on CrossFit, med school, and if anyone can take down Annie Thorsdottir.
Well, it was a very difficult decision and something that I had been thinking about all last year. Even when I started medical school, I knew that the second year would be a lot more challenging time-wise. So I had always really planned to not compete during my second year of medical school. But of course, as the game season goes on, it's so exciting and so much fun, and it's kind of hard to finally admit that you're not going to compete. So it took me a while to come to terms with it, but in the end, I know it's the right decision.
So since you're not going to be competing, you know, and this is a bit of a guess, but what feelings or emotions do you think you're going to have watching something, you know, that you dig, obviously, from the sidelines? How's it going to be?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of emotions. I know that it'll be a lot of fun. I hear it's a lot of fun to watch the CrossFit Games, so I'm looking forward to that. But I think I'm definitely going to be watching it, wishing that I could be down there taking part in it, and I hope that that will be just more motivation for me for training for the following year.
All right, so you're out of the running this year.
Yes.
So fair question. Who, in your opinion, is a good female candidate to potentially dethrone Annie Thorsdottir?
Oof, that is a big question. I think there's a lot of girls who are going to give her a run for her money this year. I think Talena Fortunato came out last year really strong, and she's going to be even better this year. So I think she definitely has the potential to do that. We've seen a lot out of Lindsay Valenzuela this year too, and she's gotten better every year. So I can see her doing really well. And then there's a potential for someone completely new that we've never seen compete before. So
of course.
There's a lot of possibilities.
So obviously you're hardworking. I mean, no doubt about it. You're in medical school, you know, one of CrossFit's best. There's, you know, social life you have to have as well. There's only 24 hours in the day. How do you actually pull it all off? How do you balance that?
Well, I think just like you said, there's only 24 hours in the day. I have the same 24 hours that anyone else does. And everyone else is, you know, doing a lot of other awesome things with those 24 hours. So I think this year is a great example that I made the decision. I couldn't fit, you know, competing and studying for school into my day and be able to confidently, you know, give enough to each one of those. So I think part of balance is realizing where your limits are and realizing where you want to put your energy. So that's something that I've learned this year too.
A good, honest assessment.
Yes.
I'm sure you get some people, you know, coming up to you that go, hey, you into the CrossFit Games thing, right? You know, like, I want to go to the games too. You know, like, what do I need to do that? You know, do you have an answer for that? Or people say, what program should I be on to go to the games? Like, there's one secret, you know.
Right.
How do you answer, you know, when the people come up with a gleam in their eye and say, what does it take for me to go to the games? What do I need to do? Tell me.
I think for that question, the best thing that I tell people to do is go to a CrossFit gym, find a coach or find, you know, programming that you're going to stick with, and then stick with it. I think a lot of people get really excited, or they hear, you know, ideas from different people and they jump around and try different programs, or they try to make certain variations. And I think the best advice that I can give someone is to find a program, dedicate yourself to it, stick with it, and just commit. And don't underestimate the amount of effort and work that's going to go in along the way. But if you stick with it, then I think you'll definitely be proud of yourself, and no matter what you accomplish, you'll know that you gave everything you had.
Definitely fair to say that you've shaped the landscape to a degree of the CrossFit Games. I mean, people know, you inspire a lot of people. And I know that CrossFit is an enormous part of your life. So you've shaped the CrossFit Games. How has CrossFit shaped your life or made a big impact with you?
It's made a huge impact. I think it couldn't have come along at a better time, because when I found CrossFit, I was about halfway through college and I was planning to go to medical school. I think during the first CrossFit Games that I competed in was actually while I was applying to medical school. So I'd always known that I wanted to, or not always, but I had known for a while that I wanted to go to med school and become a doctor. And a lot of the same things that attract me to that are the things that I found with CrossFit. The things about being able to connect with people, being able to improve people's lives, make people better. And that's actually one of the things I talked about in my med school interviews when they ask you that question of if you couldn't go to med school, if you couldn't be a doctor, what would you do? And I think being a CrossFit trainer is honestly the closest thing that I could think of that would come to being a doctor. Yeah, it's just like being in that, when you can be so close to someone, when someone will open up to you and be vulnerable, like when you're working out with someone or when you're coaching someone and they're sharing some of their weaknesses, there's just not many other opportunities in life that, you know, you can do that so easily. And so I think that's, you know, that's the place where you're going to grow the most from, and to be able to be a part of that for other people is fantastic. So as I've progressed into medical school, CrossFit has always been there and even stronger. And it's really influenced me to want to bring CrossFit more into the medical field and bring more emphasis onto prevention and wellness, as opposed to, you know, the physicians just being the lifeguards.
A big thanks to Julie for taking time out of her busy schedule to come and visit us. Julie, we'll miss watching you compete this year, but we wish you the best of luck at med school, and we can't wait to see you back here in 2014.
You know I'm a huge Julie Foucher fan. Mm-hmm. Julie, no kidding, you're like a real-life superhero to me. You look like this, you know, regular woman, and all of a sudden you rip your cape off and you're the second fittest person in the world. You go into med school. Genuinely, it's really, really cool. And it makes me want to be a better CrossFitter, you know, tighten some things up, and maybe I can get there as well. It's inspiring.
It's worth a shot.
Yeah, thank you. I think so.
Mm-hmm. But seriously, that's one of the things that Julie does. She inspires people to get in the gym, work on their diet, and push themselves to be the best athletes they can be.
And Julie mentioned that she is not just doing the Open for love of the sport, of which she has a tremendous amount, but she couldn't tell others to sign up unless she was competing as well.
So cool.
And now the Open is here, and the registration numbers are insane. People are signing up as we speak at a furious rate. Let's take a look at where we are.
All right, what this graphic doesn't tell is that approximately 60% of registrants are men and 40% are women worldwide. This indicates the women's competition is valued as much as the men's, which is awesome.
Some other sports that kind of pop into my mind, you know, tennis, swimming, maybe golf, they all have decent participation from both genders, and it's no surprise that CrossFit has a similar balance. Also interesting, some of the smallest regions are foreign, and they also happen to be the fastest growing. CrossFit was already an international sport, but it's truly becoming worldwide.
Now looking at the teams and masters divisions, 2,397 teams have registered for the Open. That's an increase of 36% from 2012.
We also have 3,564 affiliates competing, represented across all divisions, and the Masters are coming in strong, with 19,238 athletes, which is a 45% increase over 2012.
If last year's registration patterns are predictive of this year, then these numbers could significantly increase from what we see here.
And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Don't forget to tune into games.crossfit.com tomorrow night, Wednesday, March 6th, where Dave Castro will unveil the first open workout of 2013. And stick around, because directly after the announcement, Scott Panchek and Dan Bailey will perform the workout live. It all happens right here. That's our show for this week. Come back next week and we'll have highlights from the Panchek vs. Bailey throwdown. Good luck as you attack the first week of the Open. For Maddy Curley, I'm Pat Sherwood. We'll see you next week on the CrossFit Games Update Show. Take two? Take two? Oh, sorry. All right, let's do another one then. That was almost too much for Julie Foucher.
The purpose of the team competition in the game season is to determine the fittest team. And the team is the people who train together, not oh, wait, no, wait, you can't have that up there, no.